Have you ever noticed how people just miraculously have an issue with boundaries when it's yours? Haha. It's so funny how grown folks suddenly get confused when you say things like, don't talk to me like that. I'm not comfortable with that. Or that doesn't work for me. Now it's all of a sudden, you're doing too much. You changed. It's not that serious. But it is that serious. Here's what I have learned. People don't ignore boundaries because they don't understand them. They ignore them because they benefit from you not enforcing them. So let's talk about it. This is Nasty Talk. In this episode, it's called Respect the Boundary or Respect the Distance. Whew. So some of y'all are exhausted. Listen, I get it. I've been there. I have been there. Not because people are disrespectful, but because you keep explaining yourself to people who heard you the first time. Explaining is not enforcing. You said you don't like yelling. They yelled again. Now listen, before I even say anything, I just want to say, I'm guilty of not respecting people's boundaries as well. So as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, okay? I'm not perfect. And I need help. I digress. Let me go. Let me keep going. Let's say, okay, we did the yelling example. You said that you need space. They text, they called, they FaceTimed. They pulled up, they sent a paragraph. If you know me, I do not like paragraph text messages. And then said, I just care about you. Lord, have mercy. You said that you don't like the smoking. They lit up anyway. No, those people, they care about access. Okay? You see, a boundary. I'm going to talk to the invisible people around the room. I'm not going to talk directly to you because you don't do this. But the boundary is not control. It's not an attitude, and it's not you being difficult. A boundary is a decision about what I will tolerate. It's about what I will tolerate, about what you tolerate, and what I will do when that line is crossed. And some of y'all don't have a boundary problem. You have a follow through problem. You will set the boundary, but when that person comes close to it and they're getting ready to cross that line, you do not follow through with the boundary that you have already set in place. Because the first time they crossed it, you explained. The second time, you warned. Now, the third time, you cried. Maybe that was me, because I cry. Don't get it twisted. I fight, too. No, I don't fight. And then they don't respect the boundary because you taught them that they don't have to. Let me just put a pause right there. I'm going to step away from my notes really quickly. And I'm going to put on some chapstick, and I'm going to explain this to you because my lips are extremely dry. I had put a boundary in place. At first, it wasn't a boundary. And I was telling person my business. And then I said, you know what? I don't feel obligated to keep telling you my business, what's going on in my relationship. And so I stopped. And they asked. And I said, I decided to put up a boundary. I don't want to talk about that with you anymore. Said person got offended that I would put up a boundary in regards to my relationship and my life with them. They found it very hard to accept. And so what they would do is, oh, I would ask you that, but you put up a boundary. And make little snooty tooty comments about said boundary that I put up. I don't know if it was to try to get me to say something or be like, oh, no, it's okay. I'll tell you, blah, 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 blah. No, I stood firm on that boundary. I stood 10 toes. If I had 11 toes, I stood 11 toes down on the boundary that I put in place because it's not your place. The end. And then some time passed and they had to come back to me and say, I realized that I was wrong in the boundary that you put up. I will respect that. And whatever it is that you decide to share with me, I will greatly appreciate it. Of course you will appreciate it. And of course you will respect my boundary because it's there for a reason. So I don't know what this reverse psychology mumbo jumbo mess was about, but it wasn't working with your girl. Let me continue. Every time you don't enforce a boundary, you lower your own value in that relationship. And the crazy part, the moment you finally stand on business, now you're mean. Now you're different. Now you think you're better. No, I just think I deserve peace. It's my life. And I choose to share it with whom I choose to share it with. Boundaries don't ruin relationships. They expose the ones that were built on access instead of respect. So today on Nasty Talk, we're going to get real about it. Why you let them, and what happens when you finally decide, respect the boundary or respect the distance. Because people think that just because you're cool with them, that you're allowed into every area of their life. No, just because I let you into my home, my physical home, doesn't mean I let you into every area of the home. I don't need to show you every single closet. I definitely don't need to show you my bedroom. It's called boundaries for a reason. Oh boy. Can we talk about it? A boundary it's not control. It is to keep certain people at a certain place, at a certain distance. Why do we have boundaries? Because it is to safeguard and protect a certain part of our life, of our heart. Why do police put up boundaries? They put up yellow tape around crime scenes. It's the same reason. They don't want people interfering. They don't want, your outside contamination on what they have going on. They're trying to keep that space safe. Does that make sense? A boundary is not punishment. Let's stick with the police and the yellow tape. They're not punishing you. They're just protecting what they have going on here. If they need to talk to you, they will come outside of that boundary line and speak with you. This has nothing to do with you, but all about protecting the person, protecting their area, safeguarding that area. The boundary's all about you. You put it in place. Yellow tape. It's all about them securing a specific area. Don't want you to step in it. We don't want you to cross the line. We don't want you to reach over it. No. Now, if a cop decides to let someone, an outsider, a perfect stranger, a Karen, to come into the line, well, what's going on over here? Why are you doing that? What's that over there? Let me lift this up. Let me go over there. You are now disturbing the peace. You are now interfering where I do not want you. You're messing up the area. You're messing it up. Point blank, period, messing it up. When you set up boundaries, people will test you. They will test you. And it's at that time, at that very moment, where you decide if that person really is for you or if they just want access to you. People like to know. People like to know the tea. People want to be all up in the Kool-Aid. They don't care about anything else but being in the Kool-Aid. They want to swim in the pool, man. It's about access and knowing. It's not about, okay, I respect it. We don't have to talk about that. Okay, I know my place, girl. I will not talk about your kids. You know what I'm saying? Like watching Housewives, they're like, you could talk about anything else, but you will not talk about my kids. And I'm like, oh, that's a boundary. Respect it. Now, once you cross it, whatever happens, that's on you. And think of it this way. For the people who like to cross the boundary, could it possibly be that the boundary is set in place to protect you? Because certain topics, certain things, if you mention it, that person who put up the boundary could possibly explode. They could go off. It could be a major trigger for them. So do not push past the yellow line of the boundary tape, because you don't know what you're going to get. You might just be stepping into a mine and kaboof, you will be consumed. And what happens? It's going to be your own fault because the boundary was there to protect you. Think of it that way. Whew. It may be hard to enforce a boundary, and I get it. It may be hard, especially when it's your family. A parent. Parents may think, oh, because I raised you, because you are still my child, no matter how old you are, that I can just say whatever, intervene, put in my 2 cents in your life, in your marriage, and how you raise your kids, and da-da-da. No. You know what? I'm grown, and I can handle this. I am an adult. Thank you. You just got to draw the line there. I've had to say that to my own mom. Like, Mom, I'm an adult, and I can handle this. Ugh. This is a tough pill to swallow, but listen here, honey child. What we're not going to do is have people overstepping boundaries and then you're left feeling some type of way because people don't understand that, no, I'm not going there with you. No, I'm not having that conversation with you. No, I just don't want to talk to you about that. And guess what? That is okay. Listen here. I'm going to wrap this up with a bow and say, I need you to respect yourself so much that you do stand 10 toes down on not on certain boundaries, on all the boundaries that you put in place. There is a way, talking to myself here, there is a way, Sharice, for you to let people know that you are not going to have that conversation with them. Oh no, I'm not going to have that conversation at this time. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable talking about that. Oh no, I'm not going to discuss that. It's so much easier said than done when you're put in that situation where people really test the boundary. But this is where you have to put yourself first. Put your peace first. Think about how it makes you feel when boundaries get crossed. You don't like that. I don't like it. It just goes to show other people that you don't respect the boundary yourself. Stop explaining and start enforcing. A simple, no, I'm not going to have that conversation is perfectly fine. What's the problem? Are you afraid to lose this person? If this person can't respect your boundary of you not wanting to have a certain conversation or you not tolerating them, treating you a certain way, if they can't respect that, they don't need to be in your life. Especially if you've said, this is a boundary that I'm not going to have you cross. And if you cross it again, I'm walking away from this conversation. I'm walking away from this relationship, this friendship. I cannot. Here's another thing. Sometimes people don't respect your boundaries because you confuse being nice with being weak. Don't get it twisted. You could still be nice and enforce a boundary. I need to learn on being nice and enforcing the boundary. I can be mean and enforce a boundary with no problem. It's the being nice part. Because why would you want to test me? Why are you testing me? No is no. Now this is becoming like you're assaulting me. Leave me alone. All right, that's a bit dramatic. Sorry. But you're disrespecting, you crossing the line where I have specifically placed a line. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Don't do that. Coworkers one time was asking me if I use protection with my husband. And they're like, oh, I know you're not. I said, yeah, I'm not talking about any of this with you. Because what? That's just a boundary. I'm not talking about my sex life with you. I said sex. I'm not boundary. And guess what happened? Conversation dead. It stopped. Never brought up again. Because we're not doing that. And I'm going to leave with this. Every time you don't enforce a boundary, you're lowering your value. Because how do you feel when someone crosses the line? When you've allowed someone to cross the line and talk to you a certain way? Or you answer a question where you said to yourself, I'm not going to talk about that with that person because that is a boundary. Maybe that you just put in place for yourself. I'm not going to have that conversation with them. But you crossed it. Afterwards, you feel like, ooh, why did I do that? You beat yourself up. I know I have, so I'm speaking for myself. We beat ourselves up. We get upset. We rehearse it over and over in our head, what we could have did, should have did, and how we would do it differently if the opportunity comes around again. Let's not even have to go through any of that and just stand firm in the boundaries that we place. The people in our lives who cannot respect them don't deserve access to you. Point blank, period. So I hope this helps. I hope you realize that you are doing yourself a disservice when you allow other people to cross boundaries. I thank you so much for watching. And as always, people, stay nasty and stand firm. Stand 10 toes down on those boundaries. If you liked anything that you heard today, if it resonated with you, please share, like, and subscribe. I appreciate it, y'all. Until next time, see ya.